pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, the Racers Elite Cup Series is about to start a beatdown here in Sin City, one of our sport's most exciting venues. All season, drivers such as Teft, Smith, Crowell, Honeycutt, and Neal have battled to reach this point of the season. Now tonight, one of our Racers Elite Cup Series drivers looks to etch their name into the history books. Stay right here to see, from Las Vegas, what's going to happen for round one of the chase. My name's Jonathan Leach, joined with Daniel Paulus here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. Daniel, looking forward to a great one here at Las Vegas. Vegas is extremely exciting, looking to have a lot of fun. Drivers are out on track, getting ready for the grid, so only thing to do now is to talk about the grid, and once we grid, we'll bring up the points. Starting P number 1 is going to be Zach Lockett with the fastest time posted at a 29.488. Ira Kohlhaas P2. P number 3 will be Brandon Puffenbarger outside row number 2. Kinsley Smith. One race win for Kinsley Smith. Starting 5th would be Diego Rodriguez with Truth Hoke starting outside row number 3. Row number 4 is made up of Jeremy Carter and John Schloenbachler. Row number 5 is Thomas Stanley and Michael Brooks, 11 with you.
Starting P11, we're going to have Paul Shaw and Andrew Teft on row number 7. Row number 8, we're going to have Dennis Kane starting 13th, and 14th, we're going to have Gordon Spain. 15th, Jason Bottom. 16th, Corey Carell. 17th, Joshua O'Neill. 18th, Brad Hayes. 19th, Alex Teft. Oh, my bad. Joe Archer, 19th. Alex Teft, 20th. 21st, Robert Nosving Jr. 22nd, Brendan Honeycutt. And rounding out our field tonight, starting 23rd, is Sam Kohlhaas.
There we got those mixed up. I'm showing Sam Kohlhaas starting 22nd. Brandon Honeycutt is 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the chase here at Las Vegas for the Racers Elite Cup Series. Drivers with wins this season are Alex Teft, Corey Crowell, Austin Smith, who's not present tonight, and Kinsley Smith. If you take a look at on the left side of the screen here, something new for you. You'll be able to follow your chase drivers and where they are in the field as they are highlighted in green for this event. Pace car turns down 134 laps here in Sin City. Taking the green flag is Zach Lockett, and that number 93 Tennessee Titans machine. Right behind him is Brandon Puffenbarger with the great push into turn number 1. And already Sin City has claimed a victim. I'm showing that possibly a Teft has had trouble at the beginning of this race, and the caution is out. And there it is, right there. The 43 machine gets turned around on the start. There was a bit of the accordion effect on the beginning, for the beginning of this race. We'll go back one more time and try to show you how this all happens. But, you know, just things already getting kind of weird under the lights here at Sin City. I mean, what more could you expect? You can see right there quite the gap between some drivers. The 27, the 55 get held up. Brad Hayes, Joe Archer, and then unfortunately Alex Teft. He's just kind of collateral damage and goes around right at the start of this one. This gives us just a moment here to go ahead and post the current points for you folks. If you look right here, all the drivers had their points that are in the chase. Points were reset to 2,000. You do see 4 drivers with bonus points. It's Alex Teft, Austin Smith, Corey Crowell, and Kinsley Smith. Daniel.
Yeah, now that we're in these playoffs, John, we're going to go over the playoff format really quick, and we're going to go over the chase standings as well. So right now we're in the first race of the playoffs in the postseason. Now, this is how the chase field is set. We're going to have the top 10 drivers in points at the end of the 10th week, which was last week. That was the final finale for the regular season. So there are 12 total chase spots. That's how it is right now. So anybody inside the top 12 are in the chase right now. But there are 11th and 12th that are reserved for drivers outside the top 10 with wins. So if they have wins and they're outside the top 10 in points, they can take that 11th and 12th playoff spot due to winning in the regular season. Now, if that wasn't the case and the 2 drivers that have the most points that are not inside the top 10, those 2 drivers would end up getting the final 2 positions in the playoff format. Now, there are no stages at all, and points are awarded by race finish, so every position is going to matter here. But there are bonus points as well that I want to point out here. So if you win the pole, you get a bonus point. If you're leading every lap, you're getting a bonus point. So basically, if you're running this whole race, you're going to get a bonus point. But you want to get the pole because you're going to get those extra bonus points. But these drivers start all the way back at 2,000 points. But the drivers that won a race in the regular season, they're going to start out at 2,003 points. So if they keep getting as many points as possible, that can help them move on into the next round. But this is only the first race here in the playoffs, John.
Who would you want to mention? They get 3 bonus points for each victory. As you see, Alex Teft has 3 wins. He starts out at 2,009 bonus points. And as you just saw a moment ago, with that quick incident, he might need to lean on those a little bit early, but we still have plenty of the race to go. Basically, we're just going to restart here. I don't think his vehicle suffered too much damage, so we're going to just kind of restart, rack them and stack them, and get back to going. I want to point out that Ira Kohlhaas, the number 29 machine, looks like it's appears to be a, I can't say for sure, maybe a Miller High Life machine right here. This driver raced into the chase last week at Homestead. However, they vacated their slot in the chase because they will not be able to make all of the races. That allowed the number 27 Kodiak driver Brad Hayes, who had speeding last week, which eliminated him from contention. He did get that 12th and final spot in the chase. And as we're coming back around, we're looking forward to get this race back underway. That pace Camry is going to turn down pit road, and Zach Lockett's ready to get back on the throttle through the restart zone. Daniel, we're racing once again under the lights in Sin City.
Seeing the field here spread out, still too wide. Everybody behind the leader here. You see the 93 Zach Lockett working his way in turns 2, but now the caution has come out for the second time, John, here tonight.
Yeah, huge contact back here in the back. Alex Teft involved again. What seems to be the occurring here on these restarts? I just wonder what it's about. You see, you have a big stack of cars in the back right here. A lot of cars on the inside lane. And that 55, I'm not sure what happens to him, but he's all out of whack, and he collects the 30, the 43, and the 89 of Robert Nosfinger. So let's take a look at Joe Archer and try one more time, and what just goes wrong right here on this restart. So Joe Archer, we're into the restart zone on the throttle. He's going, kind of holds up the 13 a little bit. He's not going. And his car it looks like he downshifts. You know, they'd call that, I believe Tony Trapasso would call that a money shift. It just looks like he accidentally downshifts maybe into first gear. That spins the car around and he's right in the way of everybody else. You guys watching this, I can't think of a better way to call that than perhaps an inadvertent shift to first gear here for Joe Archer on this restart. And he just turns it around. He's kind of slowed, maybe trying to get into gear, and then just that very violent turn to the left right there for Joe Archer. And then Alex Teft with just heavy damage. He's still on pit road now. It's been 40 seconds now. Not the way that you want your race to begin as the points leader coming into the playoffs.
That's not how you want to start in the playoffs, especially in the first race, because, you know, if you don't finish this race, you're going to have to dig yourself out of a hole going into the next race and possibly jeopardize your chance of moving on in the playoffs. So it's really hard to see drivers with such a good regular season come into these playoffs and something dramatic happens to him, and we're not even halfway through the race and we're just in the beginning of it. So there's a long way to go for the 43, but I know he can get back out there. I don't know if he has a chance at winning at this point, but I know as long as he can finish the race, I think he'll be in a good spot.
Well, we're gonna have to see. He's been on pit road for a minute and 35 seconds. You know, he's gonna be going a lap down here in just a second. So, in fact, he's probably already a lap down. Let me try to see if I could point that up here and show us in the standings here. It should flip around and let us know in a second, but he's been in there for 2 minutes. Daniel, he might have severe issues right now. I think he might be 2 laps down, as well as Nosfinger and Joe Archer. These guys are in trouble for this race.
They are in trouble, and like I said, now they're gonna have to try to dig themselves out of a hole here. You see right now the field stacking up, doubling up here. Gonna get ready to go green here on lap number 9 here tonight from Las Vegas. But I mean, it's the playoffs. You're gonna see this stuff happen, and I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of it later on in this race.
Well, you know, I hope not to see any more under the lights here at Sin City. We're ready to get this race going, as well as the people watching. We've got a bunch of viewers right now. I want to thank you guys for being here with Sim Racing Media tonight for coverage of tonight's event here at Las Vegas for the Nextgen series for Racers Elite. We're not sure who it's going to be tonight, who's going to win the race. Is it going to be a chase driver highlighted in green on the tower, or somebody like Diego Rodriguez, who's always got people cheering him on in the YouTube channel, going to pull off a victory? But if he does pull off the victory, what could have been if he was in the chase? As we're looking at the pace car getting ready to turn down pit road, I think. Yes, the pit car has turned down pit road. Alex Teft still on pit road. I believe that'll be 3 laps down for the points leader. On the throttle, Zach Lockett, big gap back to the 29 machine of Ira Kohlhaas, as the second or third and fourth place drivers, Brandon Pufferbarger, Diego Rodriguez, fall right on in line. Battle is for 6th place.
Most of the field here, double file mid-pack. Here you see the 59 of Truth Hope working his way on that inside line there, getting past the 26 there.
You know, something I want to mention about Las Vegas, it's a real interesting racetrack. It kind of changes a little bit while you run it. Initially, early, from my previous experience, and I didn't get a moment to ask some of these drivers, but under the next caution, we should go ahead and interview one of these guys. But at the first couple laps, you're able to run, for the better part, wide open around this racetrack. But once you get some heat in the tires and they wear down a little bit, you start having to lift, but you don't really know at what point that moment is going to happen. So don't be surprised if we see some drivers sail off into the corner and drift up the racetrack because they expected to have a little bit more grip than they ended up having. And those issues seem to occur more towards the end of the field, where the more turbulent area is. You're looking at 57 of Jason Bottoms. He's battling Thomas Stanley right now.
57 of Jason Bottoms, been having an up and down season, but has done very well so far. Currently in this race right there, the 25 also coming up on the 62 of Thomas Stanley, using that inside line still.
And seeing information that we're hearing that there were wheel issues for Joe Archer, and perhaps that's what created that second caution at the start of this one. Just back-to-back cautions on the start. Just very abnormal, interesting way to start a chase. I imagine these guys are just happy to be green now, trying to get some of the monkeys off their back and just start to go racing. Vegas doesn't typically have a lot of cautions, so I expect to see a pretty green flag run now. And perhaps we'll see some green flag pit stops. It's too early to talk about pit stops, but they could occur. And we saw last week how they how they actually changed the game, and how Brad Hayes had made a mistake speeding on pit road, ended up taking himself completely out of contention for a playoff point, and it put the number 29 of Ira Kohlhaas in. Granted, Ira Kohlhaas gave up that spot to Brad Hayes based on availability during the chase. But pit stops for every race during the chase, you have to be on it. I mean, especially if you're one of these drivers without playoff points. And we'll take a moment here. I can put that back on the screen. So drivers without playoff points, fifth on back, you're looking at Andrew Tuft, Puffenbarger, Zach Lockett, Joshua Neal, Honeycutt, Hayes, Gordon Spain, Jeremy Carter. Those drivers don't have any playoff points or any extra bonus points. So they've got to be on the money and not make mistakes throughout the playoffs in order to take advantage and catch up on the drivers that do have those 3 bonus points per win.
Seeing the 98 of Andrew Taft working on the 26 there of Jeremy Carter. 98 of Andrew Taft has been having a really dominant season so far here in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. Currently sitting P12, just outside the top 10, but most of these drivers behind him are still battling side by side here for positions.
Yeah, I want to mention tonight is 75% fuel feel, 1 fast repair. They get 4 sets of tires they can put on. So they have their initial set, they get 4 more sets. We can have up to 3 green-white checkers tonight. And Vegas, we might see something like that. Up to 3 green-white checkers. Let's go back to the drivers. Right here, you see Alex Teft is finally back on track. He's 8 laps down. I don't think that's going to be... he's not going to recover from 8 laps in this one. But he might be able to catch Nosfinger, depending on how the rest of his race goes, who is 5 laps down, and Joe Archer is 3 laps down. So we might still be talking about Alex Tuff by the end of this one, but he's going to need some playoff cars and other vehicles just in general to have some bad nights so he can try to make up a few points. Definitely don't want to finish P23 to open the chase.
See right there, the 59 of Truffaut, currently P9, but we're going to go 3 wide here with the 57 of Jason Bombs going on top line. But you see also the 20 of Corey Carell working on an inside line. Both drivers getting past the 59 Truffaut. Now under fire from the 26 of Jeremy Carter.
And just going backwards right now for the number 59. We'll go a little bit further back into the field where Paul Shaw, the number 25, is trying to hang on to 17th as Dennis Kane and that Ford number 4 is in the hunt. Dennis Kane, another driver who's kind of had an up and down year. We're used to seeing him in the front, but just never really finishes races the way that he would like to, as him and the number 62 are going to split the 25 and they go to the outside. That's Thomas Stanley, and that's going to move the 25 back to 19th in the running order on lap 21. Jeremy Carter.
Jeremy Carter. Sorry,
Daniel.
the 26 of Jeremy Carter is currently now cracking inside the top 10. I look forward to seeing him potentially get into the top 5 in a matter of no time here for a 26. But right now our leader is still a 93, Zach Lockett.
Yeah, let's mention Zach Lockett here real quick. You know, no wins in the regular season, solidly in the playoffs, gets the bonus point for the pole today. All he needs to do is lead the most laps tonight, and one easy way to do it, just lead 1 lap more than half the laps for this race. Zach Lockett out front only by an 0.08 of a second over Brandon Puffenbarger, as Puffenbarger, another playoff driver, looking to take that lead away and maybe give himself the opportunity to pick up the most laps led bonus point.
I mean, look how these two drivers are using different lines here. You see the 5 machine on top of the 93. He's using that high line just to get a good corner exit. Try to side draft the 93 on a front straightaway to get that lead away from Zach Lockett. But with these two battling, and if they are going to battle continuously, that's going to allow the 3rd place of Aaron Kohlhaas to potentially make a move and go around both of them. So we're going to have to see how this shakes out.
I want to mention the best lap of the race is a 29:30 ran by John Schlombachler, and current lap times are about 29:08. We'll call it an average of 29:08, 29:09, so the fall-off's been about 4 to 5 tenths of a second in the last 25 laps, but we do need to mention that that's only about 12 laps under green with the 2 cautions. So, you know, these guys are going to be able, they're getting a little more out of their laps for their fuel on this set of tires. Here's Corey Crowd, Midwest Motorsports. You can see that paint scheme right there, outstanding for the Midwest Motorsports driver. Driving one of the few Toyotas in the field, only 3 tonight currently. 10th driver's got 2 wins on the season, tends to find a way to be up front at the end of the race. I know more than on one occasion I've said, where did he come from? And he's currently hanging out around 10th, up 5 positions. Our largest mover for the night is another Toyota. That's Brandon Honeycutt, and another Chase playoff driver. 13 Toyota, currently running in 13th. So 13th for the 13.
You're going to see these drivers spread out a little farther when we get in these long green flag runs. But you see right there, the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger now challenges the 93 for Zach Lockett, and he takes the lead away here in turn 3 and 4, John.
So he was challenging for quite a while, but now he makes the pass. It's very cut and dry this time, as he's already 0.2 of a second away from Zach Lockett. Does Lockett have anything to battle back here into the corner? We'll give it a second to see under the lights. Just what an absolute great view here in Las Vegas. I just love being under the lights, period, in any kind of racing that we do. Brandon Puffenbarger now with control here in Sin City for the Racers Elite Next Gen Series. We're going to be right back. You're not going to miss a thing. Back with you in Sin City for the the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. We've been seeing a lot of battling back here around the 6th, 7th, and 8th place positions, currently held on by the 27 of Brad Hayes, but Jason Bottoms and Jeremy Carter both want that position. And right behind them, you've got Gordon Spain and Sean Bachler in tail as well. Lap 35 of 134.
Seeing these drivers now spread out a little farther apart here, but that draft is really the go-getter here from Las Vegas, going down the back straightaway, getting a good run, or the front straightaway so you can get around the other driver, because remember, every position is going to matter here if you're in the chase. And I want to talk about this 13 really quick. This 13 of Brandon Honeycutt is really, really good here tonight. And, you know, he didn't show as much strength in the regular season, but now he's showing his strength here in the playoffs. So that's a driver I want to keep a close eye on here.
Yep, 15 positions on the night, up to 8th. We recently with 13 was in 13th, but as you say now, currently P8. We'll continue to watch the 13 as they climb to the front. I do want to mention a driver not here. As you look at the points right here, P2 in points with 2006 coming in. Austin Smith out for a business trip. Won't be back until next week, so gonna have a bit of an uphill battle for the chase to be potentially crowned the champion. But we know they're watching, cheering on the rest of their Midwest Motorsports teammates that are in the chase. And it's worth mentioning that there are 4 Midwest Motorsports drivers that made the chase, more than anyone else from another team. So Midwest Motorsports representing here in the Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series. And a driver who didn't race his way in, but got in. It doesn't matter how you get in. He's showing he belongs in the playoffs tonight. Brad Hayes up to 5th, running the fastest laps on track right now. So it's really great to see a driver with speed that deserves to be in the playoffs, making it count, currently running P5.
These drivers are going around this track around 180, 188 miles per hour in the turns and going down the front straightaway. They're going around 190 here. But you see right there the 4 of Dennis Kane and the 3 of Gordon Spain. 2 laps ago, I watched that 3 car and he made me a little nervous there because he did make an aggressive move. But right now he's inside the top 10.
Well, you know, that's something that these drivers are kind of known for. They're going to be a little bit aggressive, and you have to be. This is a playoff driver, and he's in 9th, which means a lot of playoff drivers are in front of him. You want to be in front of these guys. So Gordon Spain just trying to get everything he can out of that number 3 machine, as he's just right behind that Brandon Honeycutt machine. Honeycutt's got a bit of a roadblock. He's got Michael Brooks and Jason Bottoms both right in front of them. Neither one of these drivers are playoff drivers, but I don't expect them to just get out of the way, especially at a track like Vegas. I take that
right
back.
There, of Jason Bottoms coming down pit road here on lap 41. Oh, locks it up.
Yeah, trouble coming down pit road for the 57 of Jason Bottoms. Not what you want to see happen at any of these tracks. That's going to cost numerous seconds. It's going to really hurt this green flag pit stop. Worth mentioning that he's not a chase driver, but that right there just shows what can happen to these chase drivers when it is time to come down pit road. Trying to figure out how Corey Crowell, the driver of the number 20, has time to text while he's racing in this event. As you see, Ira Kohlhaas all out of whack trying to come down pit road. But back to Corey Crowell, he's texting while driving at 186 miles per hour to let us know how tight the racetrack is. So the drivers are battling a tight condition here at Vegas, which is typical when the tires start to go away.
Oh, well, speaking of Corey Carell, I did catch up to him with an interview before the race here tonight, John. And I asked him, you know, how do you feel about Las Vegas as we enter the playoffs? And he said he was looking forward to running Vegas. And he says the tracks after Vegas are still consistent for him. So he says if he doesn't get a win here tonight, he knows he could potentially get a win within the next few races coming up because he knows he's good at all these different style racetracks. And an interesting fact about Corey, you know, he did race go-karts when he was littler. And I also did ask Corey this question. I said, how do you expect your car to handle? And he said he hopes his car handles loose and fast because he told me that this track gets very, very tight here.
Well, it doesn't seem like the car is very loose for him, as he is already complaining about it here on around lap 40 of 134. But thank you for catching up with him and getting us some insight for this race for Corey Crowell. Currently 13th for the 20 driver of the Toyota. Kinsley Smith coming down pit road. Doesn't seem like there was any incident for the 15, leaving the, I believe, 5th place position to come down for service.
Looking like the pit stops are going to start happening here around lap 44. They started, but you're going to see once more these drivers come down pit road. We're going to start seeing our leaders also come down pit road probably within the next couple of laps here. As you see right there, the 5 Brand Puffenbarger making his way down pit road here.
And speaking of leaders, coming from the lead is Puffenbarger down pit road for service. That 5 Valvoline machine, lap 47 of 134. Now that he's come down pit road, I don't expect Zach Lockett to stay out for much longer. This might be his pit stop this time by. Into turns 3, slowing it down, still slowing it down. 93 coming in this time. And here comes Rodriguez, number 24, to follow him as well.
That's going to allow the 27 to Brad Hayes now to take over the lead here from Las Vegas. currently in the chase.
Yeah, the driver of the 27 impressing tonight, up 16 spots to the lead now. A few of those spots were gained due to pitting, but don't let that fool you. He got 12 spots the hard way. And behind him, driver of the 13 Toyota, Brandon Honeycutt, who is taking over the lead as Brad Hayes coming down pit road. I don't think he was speeding this time. Definitely got that vehicle slowed down, doesn't want a repeat of last week. Honeycutt now out front, probably going to make one lap and call it for him. I don't imagine he wants to stay out on old tires for very long. Looking forward.
Drivers.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Drivers here tonight, they're going to want to minimize their mistakes. They're not going to want to be wrecking coming on the pit road, spinning themselves out. As you see right there, the 13 getting locked up there coming on the pit road. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, John. You don't want to be making these pit road mistakes. You don't want to be coming in too hot. You won't be coming out too hot as well, because, speeding on pit road could cost you a lot of time here. And I see drivers sometimes miss their pit box, which is also not good. So you want to try to minimize your mistakes, because it could dig you a hole in these playoffs.
And want to move up here to 7th. Kinsley Smith, furthest driver up with fresh equipment, in 7th with about a 0.3 of a second gap to the number 5 Valvoline machine of Brandon Puffenbarger. So we're going to let pit stop cycle out, but this looks like the battle for the lead is going to be between Kinsley Smith and Puffenbarger, or Barger, with Kinsley Smith there. Going to drive right on by that number 55 Joe Archer machine. Archer having trouble causing the second caution, had wheel trouble. Ended up collecting him and Alex Teft. Teft, he appears to still be on track right now. He's going to have a little bit more fuel than these other guys. Wouldn't a caution be beneficial to him? He could get one lap back right now and potentially get the free pass as well. No, he would not get the free pass, but he'd get one lap back because he's ahead of the leader. But the leader is going to lap him and put him back 8 laps down as soon as he has to come down pit road. So let's take a moment and look forward for the rest of the playoffs for this series. Next week on Thursday, 7:45 Eastern, we're going to have Michigan, another Midwest track. After Michigan, you're going to have Kansas, then Texas. I apologize. It's going to be Michigan, then Talladega Auto Club, and we're going to wrap up the season at Chicagoland. So a lot of Midwest racetracks right there for the Midwest racing team. If you want to count Chicago as Midwest, I would. So you got Chicago, Michigan, and then Kansas is a fairly similar racetrack to Chicagoland. So you're going to get kind of some practice going into the final race of the season.
You see right there, the 26 of Jeremy Carter, currently 16th, but the 15 of Kinsley Smith is out front here leading this pack. And literally weeks ago, we saw Kinsley Smith take the lead, and he got that win to get him into the playoffs, which is really strong. And look where he is currently right now.
This is pit strategy for Kinsley Smith. Vacated, I believe, 5th to go down pit road. Was out there for 1 lap less than Brandon Puffenbarger, and that's the only competition that he has. Everybody else is 3 seconds or more behind them. So the undercut here at Vegas really made a difference for Kinsley Smith. And so drivers like Zach Lockett, who are 4 seconds behind, Diego Rodriguez another 7 seconds, and then 7.5 to 5th. These guys are going to have to race their way back into contention for this lead. And if this goes green, at some point those guys are a little further back, their tires will be just a little bit better, but I don't think they're going to be good enough to make up the large gap that they currently have to Kinsley Smith. So if I'm Kinsley Smith and Brandon Puffenbarger, or Barger, I want this race to stay green and just keep this gap. You got your 4-second gap, stay green flag pit stops for us. And want to go back to Alex Teft. He's still only 7 laps down. Probably can't stay out for too much longer. But as we mentioned, a yellow flag would be beneficial for him, as he would end up getting one of those lost laps back.
We'll go through the field here really quickly with our leader, 15 of Kensley Smith, currently leading this race and has been holding off our second place driver of Brandon Puffenbarger, who's doing really good here tonight. Third place, we have Zach Lockett, another strong playoff driver. Just outside top 3, we're going to have in P4 Diego Rodriguez. 5th place, Jason Bottoms in that 57 machine. And in 6th place right now, we have Brad Hayes, who's also in the chase, trying to get a championship this season. 7th place, we have the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, another playoff driver. In 8th place, we have a non-playoff driver, but that is the 4 of Dennis Kane, doing an excellent job just outside the top 5, but currently inside the top 10.
You know, I want to stick on Dennis Kane for a second. Hang on, Daniel. I want to stick on Dennis Kane. Vegas seems to be one of the racetracks that really is it's really a Dennis Kane type of track. You know, 1.5 mile racetracks, kind of methodical, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, slowly starts creeping his way to the front. He's had a lot of trouble late in races and not finishing well. But this is one of those tracks that he performs at. He's running 8th right now, but he pitted a little bit later than the guys in front of them, about 2-3 laps, so he's got to make that up. But he's up 6 positions since the start of this race. I think we'll be talking about him for the end of it. Go ahead.
No doubt about it. But 9th place, we have Joan Schonbachler. And then 10th place, rounding out our top 10, we're going to have Gordon Spain in that 3 machine. So a lot of playoff drivers inside the top 10 right now that are all fighting for position. But look who's just outside the top 10 right now. We have the 59 of Truth Hope. Now, he's been inside the top 10 already tonight. I know he'll get there eventually, but he's going to have to get around the 3 of Gordon Spain. And we know how tough that is, no matter what driver it is, because it's just tough to pass here in general, John, at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, moving further back on here to 12th, you've got Paul Shaw out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, driving that 25 Toyota, one of 3 Toyotas. Michael Brooks in the number 7 machine right here, currently scored P13. Midwest Motorsports driver, owner, 2-time race winner, Corey Crowell, running 14th, battling a very tight race car, struggling to figure out the track right now. You know, he can't change his setup any further. Currently running P14, a little different, not what we expect out of the 20 of Corey Crowell. 15th is Thomas Stanley, driver out of Buffalo, driver of the number 62. This is a badass beard care car. Ira Kohlhaas, Woodlawn, Tennessee, currently running 16th, down 14 spots since the start of this one. Pitted before everybody else on lap 42. But we saw the struggles that this driver had with the go-around. You know, they locked the tires up and kind of had a spin on pit road. And this is what really hurt Kohlhaas. One of the few Fords in the field. One of 2 Fords in the field. Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. Driver the number 98 machine. This is a playoff driver. One of the playoff drivers kind of further back in the field. Currently scored P17. Still has plenty of race ahead of him to try to recover. Jeremy Carter in the number 26 out of Bloomington, Indiana, running 18th. Pitted on lap 50, one of the later drivers to pit. Gave up a lot of track position to pit later. That might be advantageous as this race goes on. We'll have to see if the cars pitting later works out for them. Sam Kohlhaas, the number 30 Chevy. See that American flag scheme, running P19, up 3 positions from the start. Now let's go talk about a chase driver. Joshua Neal out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, driver number 82. This is a chase driver right here. Currently scored P20, 2 laps down. So we've got a couple different chase drivers having bad nights. Joe Archer, a couple laps down, we saw him have trouble. Robert Nosfinger Jr. out of Tampa Bay, Florida. Going to have his bachelor's in May. Congrats to you, Robert. I got mine last April. Running P22, but laps down. 6 laps down from that incident that brought out the second caution and of the night, and we've only had 2. But then Alex Teft, points leader into the night, caught up in both cautions, neither of which that I would put any blame on him, just caught up in a mistake of somebody else, and then a fluke accident that really cost the points leader, and he's running 23rd. He's not going to pick up any good points, and the longer this race goes, the more he hit the hole is dug that he's going to have to climb out of. Back to the front.
Back to the front here. We're going to have the 15 of Kensley Smith still leading this race here from Las Vegas, working on lap 68 right now. We're going to be going on lap 69 in a matter of seconds here with the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger still in second place, falling a little bit off of the 15, but still battling there. You see a great battle going on right here for the 3 of Goran Spain and the 9 of John Schoenbachler, still battling side by side here, going down the front straightaway, neck and neck as they cross the line here, John.
Advantage slightly to Gordon Spain, but not able to clear the 9 into turn number 1. Just clear now, could slide up and take the position. Chooses not to, as Schoenbachler's going to try to drive off the corner with the potential crossover move into turn 3. Is he going to make a shot at it? No, he's going to follow the 3 into turn 4. They're going to fan out just a bit. Gordon Spain starting to pull away.
Been running green flag ever since those last 2 cautions in the early start of this race. Has been green flag. We have seen green flag pit stops. A little drivers making hiccups coming onto pit road, but nothing major. But I mean, if we're going to keep making mistakes, that's where it's going to get concerning later on in this race. But I don't see that happening for most of these drivers here tonight. You see right there the 20 of Corey Carell, currently P13, with the 25 of Paul Shaw with that Wind Creek machine, currently running 14, gaining a little bit on the 20 of Corey Carell, going down the front straightaway.
Yeah, that 20's got his hands full with that 25 for that 13th position. Keep an eye on this one right here. Want to mention these drivers both pitted on the same lap, so general level of, we'll say, awareness for tires. Just a bit further back, you've got Andrew Teft, Jeremy Carter, 98-26. This battle's for 15th, and both of these guys are playoff cars, so this playoff position really matters for them. Not only do you want to get a point, but you definitely want a spot over a playoff driver, Ira Kohlhaas, coming down lap 72. It's a little bit early, but remember, these guys get 4 extra sets of tires, so it may not be totally inadvantageous or unadvantageous to pit and make sure you use a set of tires. Ideally, these guys will get a caution so they can kind of reset, is what some of these guys further in the back are hoping for. But the way this race is going, I don't expect that to happen. I want to mention that I just saw a driver, I think it was Dennis Kane. No, I think it was Jason Bottoms, get real sideways coming out of turn 4 a moment ago as we were following along with the leader. Just saw it out of the corner of the field. He just got a little bit sideways, so interesting to see, considering we've heard that there's a tight condition out.
Great battle going on there at the 59 of Truth Hoke and the 9 of John Schoenbachler. Side by side, heading down the front straightaway there. My bad, the back straightaway. As they enter turn 30, the 59 Truth Hoke's going to give up that position and slide right behind the 9 of John Schoenbachler. Now he's going to go back to the inside, going to try the side draft coming off at 4, going down the front straightaway. They're still going to be side by side.
So I want to mention that Schoenbachler slid back to Truth Hoke, and Gordon Spain is just kind of just checked out. He's left that. He's gone around Jason Bottoms now, and Truth Hoke has been running his race, and Schoenbachler's sort of fallen back a little bit slower than he wants to be running right now. But he pitted really early. Another one of those drivers that pitted about 5 laps earlier than everybody else. Truth Hoke's got 5 lap fresher tires than him, and those tires are starting to come in a little bit. And you're seeing that the speed advantage and the ability to manipulate the car on the racetrack, that advantage is going to the 59 of Truth Hoke.
All these drivers doing an excellent job here tonight from Las Vegas. The first race in the chase here for the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. And there's one driver I want to focus on here really quick, John, is the 24th Diego Rodriguez. Remember, the last few races, he hasn't had the best and it hasn't executed as well. And look where he is here tonight. He's having one of those nights where it looks like he's going to be contending possibly for a race win if a caution comes out. Potentially getting a top 5 or a top 10 here tonight. So he's doing a really good job and he's still in P4. But I mean, this is a guy who has shown that he has the talent to race with these race car drivers in the Next Gen Cup Series. He's doing an amazing job here again tonight.
You know, the issue that just kind of keeps creeping up is he's always around the top 5 or top 6, but something always happens. You know, we go back to November 16th, season opener at Daytona. He was having a really good race and ended up getting into trouble, finishing towards the rear. And then about a half a month later at Kansas, another bad luck start to the season. It ran well, ended up not finishing well, and is hoping to turn it around at Indy. Now, let's mention at Indianapolis, that's December 14th, race winner was Corey Crowell, Alex Tepps with P2, Brad Hayes P3. Rodriguez finished 5th in that race after being involved in a couple different issues. So that he can finish, he just had trouble before that. Then he backs that one up December 21st at Atlanta with a P3 finish. But since then, he's been a little bit more, I hate to say, but a little more non-existent. We haven't seen much. We haven't heard much. His races haven't really gone too well. But right now, running P3, pitted on lap 47, running comparable lap times to everybody around him, and looking for a solid finish here. You know, if I were him, you know, if I've got nothing to lose, I might take the undercut, pit a little bit early, try to make up this 5-second gap to Kinsley Smith. It might work out for you as the 57 of Jason Bottoms is coming down pit road.
We're going to start seeing some of these drivers make their way down to get their second pit stop here of the night from Las Vegas. Currently on lap 81. Now, once we see one car come in, I bet now we saw Jason Bottoms come in. I want to keep a close eye on this leader here of Kinsley Smith and the second place car, Brandon Puffenbarger. Are we going to see them come down pit road anytime soon?
Now, something happened right here because we've got some drivers that have really kind of fallen back here. This was not a thing a minute ago. Now Corey Crowell's here with John Schlombachler, Michael Brooks. Truth Hoke is kind of checked out, but these guys are really falling back. And Corey Crowell, Schlombachler, Paul Shaw, those guys are kind of moving forward. So big gaggle of machines right here. If I'm Corey Crowell, there's a handful of positions I need to pick up right now. And if I'm any of these other guys, I just want to hold my spot. But Corey Crowell needs to take advantage of these cars being around him and try to pick up some positions. And he's doing that so far. He's kind of leading this pack, but don't look now. Paul Shaw and that 26 car of Jeremy Carter, they're not going to let this be easy. And Carter's he's a chase car too. He can't just lay down and just give this one away here. They need to be getting these positions because there's 4 or 5 of them right there in front of you.
See right there, Dennis Kane currently P7. Having a good night here tonight from Las Vegas. With the 15 of Kinsley Smith still our leader, coming on lap 85 here from Las Vegas.
I want to mention that Kinsley Smith has got to be approaching the most laps led mark at this point. You know, in another 30 laps, if he gets another 20, 30 laps, I would say that he would win the most laps led and get the extra bonus point as a little further back behind those guys. You saw a couple cars battling. I think they were lapped machines. But Kinsley Smith approaching that extra bonus point. So wouldn't it be nice to win this race and get the have the most laps led and walk away with 4 extra points? Not to mention you also get 46 points for winning the race, which is, I believe, 3 more points than P2 receives. So that's about 8 points that you're going to get over the next playoff car that you're competing with. So walking out of here with a win tonight and an extra bonus point, it's going to leave you feeling pretty good.
That's what everybody's here for. Everybody that's in the chase has been trying to get that lead to get the most laps as possible here than any other driver. But like you said, Kensley Smith is doing that exactly. But you want to keep a close eye on this 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger, because I feel like he's always there at the end of these races. You know, he's not just dilly-dallying off saying, hey, I don't want to take a second place finish. But, you know, you see drivers that also do try to go for it at the end. And I feel like Brandon Puffenbarger's right there in second, waiting for that opportunity. And I feel like if he gets the lead over Kensley Smith, he's going to do exactly the same thing what Kensley Smith's doing right now.
So looking a little bit further to the back, you have Sam Kohlhaas. You got Thomas Stanley driving that number 62 machine, just not having the race that they really wanted. Pitted a little bit late, 7 spots down from the start of the race. A timely caution could be helpful for these drivers. You know, he's 22 seconds back from the lead. I believe Zach Lockett's coming down pit road. He is coming down pit road. But drivers like Thomas Stanley, Sean Bachler, Andrew Teth, Kohlhaas, those guys could really use a caution to help shake this race up. Now, pit stops, green flag pit stops are occurring, and you know what that means. There's always potential for wrecks and potential for mistakes. So Lockett's going to come down. I don't think if I'm the guys up front, I'm going to let Lockett stay out there for too long on fresh tires while I'm on older tires. You know, he was, I think, 6 seconds back, but you can make that up real quick on fresh tires.
Brad Hayes right there in the 27 machine.
Here they come.
Running P4.
Leaders are going to come down pit road nearly side by side. Rodriguez is going to follow them as well. So top 3 drivers down pit road. Everybody seems to get on pit road easy. Gordon Spain going to follow suit. Everybody pitting at the same time. They don't want anyone to get too far away from them this time. Now, I'm Brad Hayes. I've got a decision to make right now. Do I have to pit now, or can I wait? You know, Brad Hayes needs as many points as he can get. It depends. I don't think he's a race-winning car. You can stay out there, try to gain some points, but we see his decision coming down pit road. Try to stay with the guys that are exiting pit road now. Smith, Puffenbarger, side by side. Man, when do people race on and off pit road? It's happening right before our eyes. The Valvoline 5 is going to take advantage and it's going to beat the 15 off pit road, but the 15 is right there. They were side by side on pit road, coming off pit road, and now as they join the track, here's the battle for what will be the lead once again.
This is incredible racing here in this playoff race from Las Vegas. I would never expected to see the 2 drivers literally battling side by side coming off the pit road like that, but now they're doing a great battle here, like you mentioned, John, and now we're gonna have to see who's following right behind them.
Yeah, you know, I think the Kensley Smith machine's just a touch better than Puffenbarger, but Puffenbarger hanging tight right there, not giving that 15 any space to race. And Smith really wants that position back, you know, want to lead the most laps here tonight, get that extra bonus point. We're going to have to keep an eye on this one. Dennis Kane's on pit road, Truth Hoke, Paul Shaw, I believe Corey Crowell back on track as well. And looking to see how this is going to sort out. So Puffenbarger and Smith, they pitted on lap 90. They're your race leaders by about 5 seconds. Not sure what happened to Rodriguez. He's fallen back just a bit here. He's 8 seconds behind those guys. You know, but what I really think happened is those guys were just much faster getting on and off pit road than the rest of the field. And that's what led to Rodriguez falling back a bit. And Brandon Honeycutt, he jumped Rodriguez as well in the running order. So when things cycle through, it's going to be Smith, Puffenbarger, Jason Bottoms, Rodriguez, and I believe Zach Lockett. But right now it's Jeremy Carter out front.
Drivers finishing up their pit cycles here, their second pit cycles of the night here. And right as they say that, you see a 26 Jeremy Carter come down pit road to get serviced.
Boy, that was close.
And it was close.
He was definitely fast coming down pit road. I think he made it, but he was quick. We're gonna watch Sam Kohlhaas down pit road. Another driver, he got slowed down. There wasn't a question about it for that driver. Carter was close, but I'm pretty sure he made it. Smith, Puffenbarger back to the lead. Smith has taken the lead over. We missed that. That's unfortunate. We're catching other pit stops. Perhaps we can come back and find where that pass occurred. In a few minutes, I'll be able to find that.
Working on lap 97 out of 134 here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's the 62 of Thomas Stanley, currently sitting 19th, just outside the top 20. I meant just inside the top 20 almost. As you see right there, the 25 of Paul Shaw, currently 14th. There's the 27 of Brad Hayes, having a good battle here with the 88 machine, but he's using that high line to get a good corner exit, going down the back straightaway, and he is clear of that 88 machine.
And unfortunately, I don't have the replay of the number 15 getting around Puffenbarger for the lead. But what you need to know is that 15, back to the point here, lap 98 at Las Vegas, really just showing that the 15 driver here, Kinsley Smith, is a force to be reckoned with in this playoff. You know, got that elusive win, was always close, finally got a win, but trying to, you know, show everybody else in the field who's here to play tonight. And, you know, Puffenbarger's up for the challenge. He's been with Smith every step of the way, but Smith has just slightly had the advantage by that much, a car length. Is that going to change for the next third of the race? Don't go away and find out here at Vegas with Sim Racing Media. We'll be right back. All right, folks, right here, battle for 4th place. Brad Hayes, Rodriguez, Zach Lockett, Jason Bottoms. These drivers are all within 1 second of each other. Brad Hayes hanging on to P4. Rodriguez trying to get back up there and get back to P3. You know, great race running for him. But Zach Lockett, that Tennessee Titans number 93, pole sitter for this race, really looking to gain some more points right here. And Lockett, of course, being a playoff driver, wants to get around Diego Rodriguez and Brad Hayes. Just a touch slower than Rodriguez last time by. And this is the battle for 5th.
Diego Rodriguez now back inside the top 10 and top 5 after falling back to P9 after that pit stop. Doing an excellent job here. Looks like he's going to earn a top 5 the way it's going, but look at that 93 Zach Lockett reeling him in a little by little here as we enter the back straightaway going into turn number 3.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone yet. We still have 26 laps to go. I know we've only had 2 cautions, but that can change in a hurry. There is side-by-side racing going on, so you never really know. Here's Brad Hayes racing right here. That car isn't for position. That's Sam Kohlhaas right behind him. But if you look a little bit further, Brandon Honeycutt is in the sights of Brad Hayes. Brad Hayes really looking to have a good race if possible. You know, again, mentioning that he deserves to be here in this playoff, and he's proving that he deserves. So 4 of the top 5 drivers are playoff cars. 5 of the top 6 cars are playoff cars. And 7 of the top 10 are playoff cars. So, you know, that's pretty standard. The guys that are in the chase tend to be up front for these races.
I mean, that's what you expect. The drivers that get themselves into the chase, you expect them to be literally contending for all of the top 10 spots here in these races. So, I mean, it's not a shocker that you see a lot of these playoff drivers inside the top 10 because, I mean, they're that good at it. I mean, there's nothing else I can say. I mean, that's their talent.
Yeah, these guys still just back and forth up front. Just kind of coming back and forth and checking on them, you know, that just about the same, you know, 3-4 car lengths between the two of them. This has been about the status quo for these guys for the last 50 laps. Smith out front, Puffenbarger step for step. Is Puffenbarger waiting? Does he have something up his sleeve? A line that he doesn't want to show Smith? We don't know, but we'll find out as the rest of the race goes on. Jason Bottoms, the number 57 driver, coming down pit road, is going to give up a 9th place position to go pit. That's going to be the most up-to-date pit stop for the night. We may not see other pit stops for the leaders. They may not have to come back down again. I could be wrong. There might be a 10-to-go pit cycle, but I'm not so sure. As Jason Bottoms picks up 4 tires and fuel for that number 57 machine.
Watch this 5-car Brand Puffenbarger. Look at him. He's using different lines here, seeing what works best for him. And you see him reel in the 15 of Kensley Smith coming out of turn number 2. So I feel like the 5 has an idea of what he wants to use here to gain ground and potentially get the win from the 15 of Kensley Smith.
So these cars in front of them, which would be lapped cars, could give Puffenbarger an opportunity. Now, we haven't seen him get around Kensley Smith and hang on to that position, though. In fact, I think these cars are making it harder because these are faster cars. Jason Bottoms, Ira Kohlhaas driving by right here, kind of giving ideal positions away. There's Alex Teft, currently P23, just 10 laps down now, but still out there on track representing. You gotta like it when these drivers do that. If something happens to anybody in the next few laps, Alex Teft can still pick up a position. But his race is not done until he can no longer pick up positions. Here comes Robert Nostinger out of the 22nd position, another driver. Several laps down. I think he's either 6 or 8 laps down at this point. So not the night that he wanted, caught up in just stuff. No better way to put it. And, you know, Puffenbarger, Smith navigating traffic pretty well. almost in the wall right there for the 5, but stays out of it. And while we were watching that battle for the lead, Zach Lockett did get around Diego Rodriguez, move it up to P5, make that 5 playoff cars in the top 5 at this point.
Great battles going on throughout this whole entire green flag run here. You see right there the 82 and the 3 battling side by side. That is Gordon Spain and
Joshua Neal. So that's not for position.
Spain.
It's Gordon Spain with Joshua Neal right there with him. And Gordon Spain's in 8th. Joshua Neal not having the night that he wants, running 19th. You know, so a few playoff drivers having rough nights. You know, Joshua Neal, Alex Teft being 2 of those. Jeremy Carter, you know, not having a terrible night for Jeremy Carter, but a very average, slightly worse than the top half of the field night. So a couple of these guys, and Austin Smith, who's not here tonight. So Alex Teft is going to do better than Austin Smith, who is not here, and have significantly more points than that driver, but still going to have a large hole to make up. You know, we're talking 26 points. Let's make that 20-point gap for Alex Teft if he finishes where he is, roughly, based on the fact that he has 9 bonus points.
This is not what some of these playoff drivers want to deal with that big, such a big gap in those points, because, you know, if you're not running well here tonight, John, you're going to have to do outstanding pretty much the next race. So you're going to have to do, very well in order to move on to the next round.
Yeah, I think by the way we've seen this series go, the driver that has the cleanest and most consistent playoff is going to be the one that wins the championship. So it's going to be one of these guys that doesn't have any trouble. Is that going to be Honeycutt? Is he going to win this from finishing 3rd every race? Currently running 3rd, our largest mover. Or is it going to be Kinsley Smith? Another driver who's consistent in the top 5. It's going to maybe take home a victory and be in the history books here at Vegas. You know, or is there just going to be chaos and these guys are going to have bad races? And if we got Talladega, all these drivers could have something crazy happen. I think that's Corey Crowell. Nope, that was not Corey Crowell, but I thought I saw a driver coming down pit road a moment ago. Somebody was running low on the track. Yeah, that was Joe Archer in that 55 machine. You know, so we're approaching 10 to go. This has been a very fast race. Only 2 cautions. We had those 2 blunders early on the restart. You know, one was a technical issue, and another one was just an odd accordion effect. And since then, we haven't looked back. Nothing but green flag pit stops all night. Great racing. No problem for this series. On board here, Puffenbarger, as he's trying to follow behind Smith, and Smith is just, you know, steadily stepping away now. For the longest time, they were step for step, but now the race leader, Smith, is stepping, is just, you know, just slowly stepping away. A 10th that lap, might be a 10th this next lap. And if you're Puffenbarger, it's just a terrible feeling to know that you gave it your best effort, but now that guy in front of you is starting to step away.
I mean, think about the tire wear on that 5. He probably used it up when he was battling with the 15th Kinsley Smith, and now that the tire wear is starting to fall off on that 5 machine, I think he's going to have to face the fact that he's going to finish 2nd here tonight. So I would just stay where you're at right now. Don't push your limits to where you could potentially spin yourself out and lose all those playoff positions, because that's going to hurt you a lot. As you see right there,
yeah, there's plenty to lose from falling out of 2nd. But right here, you see that 25 machine. That's Paul Shaw. He's running 14th. Fresher tires. Well, really, not really fresher tires. But trying to get around the number 5 of Puffenbarger. Or excuse me, I take that back. He is being lapped. I've got this completely mixed up. This car was lapped by Smith. This is a lapped machine right now. And Puffenbarger is trying to get around that 25 and struggling to do so.
Going into the closing laps here pretty soon, John, from Las Vegas. It's hard to believe that this race is going to be pretty much almost over here tonight. Our first race in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series playoff race is going to be over, and it's looking like the 15 of Kensley Smith is going to have a pretty steady points going into next race. Not too much to worry about, but if he does good that race too, he's going to have a pretty good solid chance to get into the championship.
Yeah, you know, walking away with a victory, if that is to be tonight, would just be, you know, would be something to write home for the 15. The 15's got to be a little careful. You got the 25 right here with some speed. That's Paul Shaw, you know, going a lap down here for Paul Shaw, but he really does not want to go a lap down. And I can't blame him for trying to hang on to it. There's a caution. There is a caution with 8 to go. This changes everything. Truth Hope hard into the inside wall. I don't know what happened. Excuse me, not Truth Hope. That's Thomas Stanley. I'm so sorry. I got a little bit excited and said the wrong person. What happens to Thomas Stanley?
Well, I don't think any of us saw that coming.
We're just going to back that up. Oh, there is trouble.
It's Brad Hayes in 27.
Yeah, Brad Hayes and Stanley just collide, and Stanley into the wall, and Brad Hayes having an outstanding night. Just caught up in something. You know, Daniel, this is what I was talking about. The race wasn't over. Anything could happen. Now these drivers are going to come down pit road. I don't think they have a choice but to come down pit road. And if you're the leader, somebody's going to stay out when you come down pit road. What do you do? And now everything changes. I'm Diego Rodriguez. Why not stay out? You know, I'm Dennis Kane. Stay out. But if you're one of these other guys, if you're Kensley Smith and you stay out and the rest of the field comes down pit road, it's game over. You know, what do you do? Oh, there you go. Smith, the whole field's coming down pit road. Who's not going to come? Rodriguez comes. Spain comes. Everybody in the front's coming down pit road.
And I was just going to say this, John. If the leader does come down pit road, I'm pretty sure the whole field's going to come down on pit road. But now if the 15 of Kensley Smith stayed out, I would have said probably the field's going to stay out. The whole field would have stayed out, no problem. Because you don't want to have a disadvantage over another driver or vice versa. So we're going to see these drivers get final stops here tonight from Las Vegas. We're going to get them restarted. I mean, this is going to be a really awesome restart because this could be the finish of the race. You don't know. We do have overtime attempts, but I mean, this is going to be intense battling between the 5 and the 15. I'm telling you right now, and there's going to be something going on.
And worth mentioning right here, Puffenbarger beats Smith out. So Puffenbarger is going to be the control car, not Kensley Smith. And you know, so this is going to be about 4 laps. And it has taken Smith a few laps whenever he's been behind Puffenbarger to get that lead back. You know, not coming off pit road first is going to be huge. And his pit stop time was 0.15, a tenth and a half slower than Puffenbarger's. And that was a position. A tenth and a half. And, you know, pit road total time was about 0.4 faster for Puffenbarger. This just changed everything. So Puffenbarger, Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, Dennis Kane, Zach Lockett, Diego Rodriguez, Gordon Spain, Brad Hayes uses a faster pair. Corey Kraut, Andrew Teft. Where did Andrew Teft come from? Having a rough night. A rough night. All of a sudden, Andrew Teft is scored in 10th. All of a sudden. Corey Kraut, 9th. You know, this is what these guys were looking for. They needed something like this to happen. And it's tough.
They just got it.
That I feel for Thomas Stanley. Feel for him. And he's saying that there was a wheel issue that got the hiccups. His wheel disconnected on him. And this is what brought out the third caution. So these cautions tonight have not been race related. They've been 2 technical wheel problems and then 1 accordion effect on the restart that just kept getting larger and larger, and a fluke car went around. So racing has not been a problem tonight, but we're about to see a whole different level because everybody in the top 5 can win this race at this point. And 5 of the top 5 are playoff cars that need this race win. I do think Smith has the most laps led. We might even see a new fastest lap of the race, which currently belongs to the number 9 machine of John Schlombachler, which is a non-playoff car. But I think that's about to change because we're going to come back with only 3 to go. You guys watching, call your winner right now. It's going to be 3 to go. Call your winner. Daniel, who do you got?
I got the 15 of Kensley Smith just because, he's been out front, most of the night here tonight and done an amazing job. And I think the 15 can hold it off for a few more laps here. But there's one thing I want to mention. I wouldn't be shocked if we go 3 wide in the turn number 1, just because, everybody's on fresh tires here in the top 10. And everybody's fighting for a playoff position here to get more points. So I don't know who's going to win, but I'm going to put my bets on the 15.
Yeah, I like your 15 pick, but could it be Brandon Honeycutt, driver of 13, up 20 positions, P3, Toyota up front? Is he going to be that car that's going to make this 3 wide? And if he makes this 3 wide and they get together, is it Dennis Kane or Zach Lockett? If I'm row 2, I'm making this 3 wide immediately. You should have the opportunity to do so in the turn 3. Or excuse me, probably in the turn 3. Maybe turn 1, but likely turn 3. On the throttle for Puffenbarger. Green flag is out. What a restart. That gap is huge. Kinsley Smith is back almost a half second. And here comes Honeycutt.
Machine. Watch that 13 machine as he exits turn number 2. Look at this. We're going to go 3 wide, I think, just like I mentioned. Look at the 3 of Gordon Spain on the bottom there.
An aggressive move for Gordon Spain. Kinsley Smith just trying to get clear of everybody for P2. Gordon Spain's in the grass. Is he going to hang on to it? Bouncing all over the place. Mows the grass. Back on the track. Slideways. Hangs onto it. Drops a ton of positions. Still green. 2 laps to go.
This is it. This is what Kensley Smith has to see. He has to get past the 93 here, but 93 is not going to allow that as he's going to go to the inside here at 15 of Kensley Smith. That's going to hurt the advantage here. That's just going to allow the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger to just pull away here.
These 2 are going to touch for second. Zach Lockett in that 93 is coming advantage 93. Smith back to 3rd. Here's Brandon Honeycutt looking for that 3rd place position. Look at Corey Crowell in 6th. Can he pick up 5th? 3 wide with Rodriguez, the 4. Hoke, we're on the final lap for Brandon Puffenbarger. Running P2 all night long. Coming into turn number 4 with a half-second gap. Puffenbarger victorious at Las Vegas Sin City. 3-car battle for 5th place right there. Rodriguez is going to finish 7th.
I did not see that coming at all. Look where Andrew Teft is. He's 13th. I mean, Dennis Kane, top 10.
See, how did he have a top 10? When this started, he was 4th. He finished 10th, but he was 4th.
Wow.
Things just happen. If you're Smith, you feel terrible. You let one get away from you, finish P3. If you're Puffenbarger, you sat all night long in P2, just waiting, and you just did a little bit better on your pit stop. And you won the race. But these guys had to earn that on that last lap. You're going to have a lot to write in the history books and the notes, Daniel, for this race.
I wasn't expecting this at all. With Kensley Smith leading for most of this race and the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger, if we were to have a caution, Kensley Smith would have won this race. But now that we had a caution late in this race, And that, just like you mentioned, that one pit stop put the 5 in victory lane, which is still shocking. It just shocks me how this race ended.
Yeah, so there's only one thing you can do, Daniel. You've got to go talk to our race winner. Puffenbarger is gonna have the advantage going into next week. It's gonna have the most points accrued for the playoffs. That's the driver. That's gonna be your interview, Daniel. I hope you're looking forward to it.
I sure am.
And joining us in the booth now, our race winner, Brandon. You must be feeling great. Daniel, take it away.
Brandon, I know you're feeling great here, winning the first race here in the playoffs for the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. But you have been running second all night, and it came down to one pit stop and one caution late in this race to cap it off with a victory here from Las Vegas.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything for Kinsley. I was trying every which line I could think of, brake, no gas. I tried everything, but Kinsley had the best car tonight. But that last caution, I think he was going a little too slow down pit road, and I kind of passed him on pit road, and that's how I beat him out. And then when the restart came, I just wanted to get out as far as I could because I saw in my mirror they were like 4 and 5 wide almost.
Well, now that you got a win in the chase here from the first race of the playoffs, how was your car handling throughout that race? Was the track being like tight? Was your car being loose? How was your car handling through the start to finish?
For about the first 15 or so laps, it was pretty neutral, but then after that, it would start to build tight. I checked my right front uh, when we pitted during those green flag pit stops. I think I was down to like 68% on the right front, so I was kind of killing it because I just couldn't turn as well as others could.
Well, now we're going to head to Michigan next week for the second race of the Racers Elite Next Gen playoffs. What are your expectations going into Michigan?
They're pretty high. Michigan's always a fun track for me. I mean, it's gonna be pretty much kind of the same as Vegas. It's gonna be a lot of drafting. It's gonna probably be a little bit bigger pack besides just like 2 people running away with it. But I think it'll be great side-by-side racing throughout the whole race.
All right. And do you have any sponsors, friends, or family that you would like to thank?
Just thank you guys for doing the broadcast, Andrew and the guys for putting this on, everybody for coming out, and that's about it.
All right. Well, congratulations again. The first victory here in the first race of the playoffs. We'll see you from Michigan next week.
Wow, just what a way to win a race, Daniel. I can't think of anything better than how that just went right there. And when Zach Lockett's our P2, I'm gonna bring him to the booth with you now. Go ahead. Joining us in the booth now, Zach Lockett. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hello, Zach. It's John and Daniel up here in the broadcast booth. How are you feeling after that first playoff race from Las Vegas?
Feeling really good. Glad to come home second. It's always tough to start on the pole and lead a bunch of laps and not come away with the win. But I knew Puffenbarger was going to be fast. He was really fast, and I think he just had a better green flag pit stop than I did. And then during that second long run, I hit the wall coming out of 2, got myself a little wheel damage that ended up putting me back a couple tenths off the lead speed, and fell back to like 7th or 8th there until that last caution came out and got some fresh tires and made my way back up to second. I think I might have had something for him there, but I got held up off the initial restart, and I think one more lap you might be talking to a different winner. But glad to come home second, heading into Michigan next week.
Well, you've been inside the top 10, top 5, and now finishing second here at Las Vegas. How was the track handling from tonight's event?
Man, I love this track. I love Las Vegas. It was, the track temp was 67 degrees, so it's not usually what you're going to get when you come to Vegas. You're going to be sliding all over the place on a hot track, but we were able to floor it all the way around the track here with little lifting, and the guys who lifted a little bit more here on entry into the turn here were able to save a little bit more tire. I think I did that really well in the first long run, and the second run didn't do as well, and like I said, hit the wall and fell back, but. Really enjoyed the tight racing here. It really is a driver's track, and I think the cream always rises to the top here. But love this track, love Las Vegas.
Well, now that Vegas is behind us, we're going to Michigan next week, and it's a pretty fast track too. So what are your expectations and goals to go at Las Vegas next week?
Man, I want to win. I've been second, I've been third, I've been fourth in the last handful of races here. I want to win. I want to celebrate. I want to do the donuts here on the front stretch and win a playoff race. So Michigan is by far, in my opinion, the best track on the service here for close, tight knit racing, draft style, but also you got to lift and maintain your tires in the turn. But I want to win. So I really hope I can qualify up high next week, like I did this week at the pole, and win that race. But I expect to be running up front and looking for another good race there. Because after that we go to Talladega, and then who knows what happens at Talladega.
Well, Talladega is a wild one, and I'm sure everybody's scared about that track. And do you have anybody you would like to thank for tonight?
Yeah, shout out to my teammates at Back Row Motorsports, Thomas, Stanley, Jason Bottoms, and Joe Archer. They were all great tonight. I know Jason and Thomas had pretty good races. Shout out to you guys here in the booth, as always, doing a great job. Shout out to some of my boys, some of my friends watching. I know they're tuned in for the last few laps there. I know they wanted to see me come away with the win, but still got a good finish. And shout out to my girlfriend Erica, as always, let me race multiple nights of the week. Yeah, shout out to you guys.
Congratulations on the top 3. We will see you next week from Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Thank you.
Daniel, I can't think of wow, what a way to start the playoffs. You sort of see heartbreak with Kinsley Smith. You see that huzzah moment for Puffenbarger. Zach Lockett almost gets there. Also just wild, just a wild race. Now joining the booth with us, third place finisher Kinsley Smith. It kind of feels bad, finishing third after being up front for the longest time. I believe you led the most laps. Tell us, what are your emotions after thinking you had this one locked up and you're coming home third after that last restart?
More aggravated with myself. Last pit stop, I didn't get into my pits very well, and Puff ended up beating me out. So.
And there's about a 0.4 of a second difference between you guys on pit road.
It sucks, but I mean, there's always next week, next season, so no point in dwelling on it and moving on to next week.
Yeah, I don't think a P3 is going to end your playoff hunt by any means necessary. But we're going to Michigan next week, and you seem to have a lot of speed at these 1.5-mile, 2-mile racetracks. What do you think you have to bring to the table to maybe improve your position next week in Michigan?
Last season, I came in second in our Michigan race. It was actually my first race in the league. Corey beat me out on fuel mileage. If I would have had one more lap, I would have been able to beat him out. But so I'm looking forward to it. I think I have a good shot at being up in front at that one too. So.
All right. Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. I mean, you're not sitting bad in the playoffs by any means at all. You got that one win in the regular season. So that's 3 bonus points you carried over. I believe you led the most laps tonight, so that's an extra bonus point. And P3, not too bad. Anyone you want to mention or thank before we let you go? I'm looking forward to talking to you next week.
Of course, I want to thank my wife and my daughter, and you guys for doing the broadcasts, and Andrew for putting on the league, and then on top of that, my team, Driving Extreme Inc., practicing with him and stuff. It really helps us out during these races. Honeycutt drove from the back to finish up towards the front during this race, so practice pays off, and as long as we keep at it, we should be able to keep going.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing how next week goes, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, guys.
But Daniel, that was a rather dejected, Kinsley Smith, just frustrated, made a mistake, ends up costing him a potential win. But we're in the playoffs now, and there's still a couple other drivers around. So because we're in the playoffs and we've got playoff drivers finishing well, we're gonna bring Brandon Honeycutt to the booth. Finishes P5, up 18 positions on the night. Brandon, what's your thought on your race tonight, and coming home P5 here in Sin City? Is this better or about what you were hoping to happen tonight?
Well, I was hoping to get third until that caution. At least third. I thought I might have had a chance to pass Puffenbarger.
Well, anyhow, then, so either way, a very good race for you considering you started further in the field. You slowly, methodically drove through the field all night. We highlighted that a couple times, and you finished 5th. So a good finish for you. Really good points day going into next week at Michigan. What do you think is going to be the keys to winning next week?
I think I need to go practice Michigan. I haven't driven that track in a while, so I'm not sure.
Well, one thing I can say is it's going to absolutely put on a great show. That's the one thing that I can say for sure when we go to Michigan. Well, Brandon, thanks for sticking around. Let us talk to you for a minute. Is there anyone you want to mention while we still have you?
No, just thank you all for broadcasting and Racers Elite for putting it on.
All right. Well, good night, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
Daniel, we're going to bring in one last driver to the booth. That driver is going to be with you. It's kind of a surprise interview, so I hope he's sticking around. Daniel, go ahead.
Corey, it's Daniel and Jonathan and Booth. You got a copy?
Well, surprise
Corey,
interview
it's
may not have
Daniel
worked out.
and Jonathan in the booth. You got a copy?
I'm going to assume he was not available, Daniel. That's unfortunate. Nope. But, that was a tough race right there. And we're just going to try to get a quick word in with him if possible. But tough race, but really good run for him. Finished P6. Remember, he was in 14th, 15th all night long. And he comes home P6. Let's take a moment and look at tonight's race results, as you see them on screen. And as you see tonight's winner, Brandon Puffenbarger, P2 for most of the race, ends up finishing, he wins the race. That last lap, or that last caution, kind of happened from Thomas Stanley having a wheel problem. They get back out on track with 3 to go. Puffenbarger beats Zach Lockett off pit road, and he wins the race. Excuse me, he beats Kinsley Smith off pit road and wins the race. Zach Lockett, P2, gains a couple positions, finishing second, was the pole sitter, finishes P2, so he's going to pick up a valuable bonus point for being the pole sitter. Kinsley Smith, P3, just dejected. Rough, wanted better than third. 4th is Brad Hayes. Brad Hayes finished 4th after colliding with Thomas Stanley. Was able to take his fast repair and still finish 4th tonight. And remember, he was on the outside looking in last week. Now, he's one of your top 4 drivers in this playoff hunt, and we'll show you the standings in the playoffs in just a moment. Honeycutt's P5, 6 belongs to Corey Crowd. Diego Rodriguez brings it home 7th, and good points night for him. Not in the playoffs, but just good night for Rodriguez. We saw him battling up front in 3rd, 4th, 5th, Really good race for him. Truth Hoke finishes 8th. 9th belongs to Michael Brooks. 10th, Dennis Kane. Daniel, take it away with 11th.
Finishing 11th is Gordon Spain. Been having an up and down night here from Las Vegas. Has been inside the top 5. Just didn't finish inside the top 10. Just finished right outside the top 10 actually. And finishing 12th, we have John Schoenbachler having a really good night, battling with other drivers on track. Now, finishing 13th is the 98 of Andrew Taft. He didn't have the night he wanted starting off. You know, he was back in that top 20, top 15 most of the night tonight.
And
he
really, he was more like 18th on back.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't show the speed like he normally does, John, which really shocks me because I really thought Andrew Teft was going to be, you know, competing up here in the top 10, top 5 most of the night. So not a great race for him, but hopefully he does better at Michigan next week.
Well,
Finishing 14th, we have.
I was going to say P13, based on where he was running, is up about 6 spots better than his running. So that's how you become a champion. You take a car that's not good for you, and you find spots for him. I know you're about to mention Jason Bottoms, P14. 15th is Jeremy Carter. 16th is Paul Shaw, Ira Kohlhaas, Sam Kohlhaas, 17th and 18th. Joshua Neal and Sam Kohlhaas both 1 lap down for this evening. Then you get into cars multiple laps. Robert Nosfinger 6 laps down. Joe Archer 6 laps down. Alex Teft, just rough night, man. Trouble, both cautions, 2 or 3 cautions early. 9 laps down, but look at that. He finished 1 position better than last place because he stuck it out. He drove out there, and he passed Thomas Stanley, who had trouble, who rounds out the field in 23rd. So the last thing I want to mention is we need to take a look at the point standings right away and show what the current points look like going into next week. So Brandon Puffenbarger right now, 2,046 points going into next week. Take a look at Corey Crowell. He finished 6th, and he's got 2044. So he's P2 in the standings. Kinsley Smith, P3. Zach Lockett's 4th at 2042. Brad Hayes, 2040. Brandon Honeycutt, Gordon Spain. Andrew Teft, Alex Teft, Jeremy Carter. Joshua Neal, Austin Smith, 2006 points. Didn't gain any points. So he has an uphill battle. But none of these guys are that far back. So Alex Teft, you know, he's 13 points out. These guys are still very close. But if you're Puffenbarger or Smith or Corey Crowell, you're feeling pretty good. So what an outstanding evening, Daniel. Thank you for being my partner in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. All we can do at this point is say see you later. Let's see you next week. Well, next week we'll be live from Michigan at about 7:30 Eastern Time for another great one from the Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series. Thanks for being a part of our night. My name's Jonathan Leach, joined by Daniel Paulus. As you walk through life, ladies and gentlemen, drivers, children, and animals, please do not play in traffic. Good evening.